who has hit the ground running with his new place. That's Auburn Live on on3sports.com. He's one of the best in the business. He's a grinder. I've been able to personally interact with him on the trail because he's come to the Rocket City to cover commitments for the Auburn Tigers. Has covered them for many years now. Has done a great job now with his third company since I've known him, and he's a guy in demand. There's no doubt about it. He's very busy. He's going to join us now for about 15 quick minutes as he's on the road, and that is Keith Niebuhr, Auburn recruiting analyst / reporter for Auburn Live. Keith, welcome. Congratulations on the new move. You're with Drew and Scott once again in Huntsville. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know I don't know how much in demand I am, but thank you for the kind words. But yeah, I'm driving through Florida this morning. I hope everybody. I am in the back of Florida and heading over to Tampa, going through I don't know what you call it, west of Orlando on the route, going through some real towns, Groveland, Polk, and Catholic, where Jarris Mack for Auburn received, and he's top recruit star linebacker Lewis Carter, who's officially visiting Auburn this weekend. So I'm going to go get on that recruitment and spend the day over in Tampa, which I love.
Yeah, I know you. I know that area very well. Of course, you're a Florida native, no question about that. Graduated from Florida. I know you knew the late, great Aubrey Hill very well. One of his relatives just being offered by his Gators. That was a really cool moment as well in recruiting. But it's been interesting to follow Brian Harsin and the staff now that they're trying to reestablish themselves. What I've been noticing, a lot of offensive linemen coming to town, being on campus. I know I think that's got safe to say it's an emphasis in this recruiting class, which will be the second for Coach Harsin.
Yeah, better be. Really, you look at Auburn's offensive line, it just hasn't great. And it's obvious the line's not terrible. I know people say, "Oh, it's terrible." It's not terrible, but it's not what you need it to be if you're going to be upper echelon of the SEC. You just want decent, or do you be like have the offensive lines of 2013, 2014 in that era? So 2017, Auburn signed Calvin Ashley, who never materialized, but he was a 5-star at the time. Ross Brock, who's still on the team. Those were your two tackles. And Nick Brahms, who's your starting center. Now, that's really your last big name guys, right? 2 4-stars and a 5-star. And it's been kind of rough going since then. And now Auburn's like going to have to, because they're going to be graduating guys. And so the offensive line's going to be going through a total over the next couple years. So you've got to hit it hard this cycle. So yesterday Auburn had a 4-star in-state tackle. Remedial kid, 6'7", Thompson High School, straight state titles. Now, he just named the top 8. Clemson did, Auburn, some other schools, but I've heard Pitt is actually surprisingly a team to watch. But Auburn appears to be in a strong spot. They've got guys. I mean, they only have 2 commitments, and that's the tricky part. They've got a couple more weeks of official visitors. Then you got Big Cat Weekend the last week of July. And then a lot of kids want to see what they can do this season. So, I think Auburn fans are going to have to be a little patient. Quite frankly. They do have a lot of irons in the fire with offensive linemen, and he's one. Lou, a kid out of Georgia's visiting this kid. Last weekend, right? Was McKeltry from Aniston and Bo Houston, top 100 national recruit.
That's Keith Niebuhr there with us, talking a little Auburn football recruiting right now, and obviously the self signal just kind of cutting in and out there, and we'll try to get Keith back here, but he's trying to give us some updates there on Auburn recruiting.
Yeah, he is. He's on the road, as he said, through the back roads of Florida. So the cell connection is not great, and that's something that's kind of out of our control, his control as well. Where you are, I've been there myself. when you unfortunately don't have a great signal to join us and talk. He was talking about Stanton Ramil, the young 6'7" tackle from Thompson High School, as he said, 3-time state champion. Someone that I think he's visited Auburn half a dozen times. He seems to be making a deep connection with the Auburn staff. He also said that Pitt is among his final 8 and really may be in there strong with Pat Narduzzi and what they're doing over there. But I think we have Keith back. Keith, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I mean, I'm in the boonies here.
Right. Yeah, but we were just kind of refreshing the listeners. Stanton Ramil, a guy that's visited Auburn, I want to say half a dozen times. Has been a frequent visitor, multi-time state champion at Thompson, someone that Auburn has prioritized. And you said Pitt is also deep in it, it looks like.
Yeah, and maybe Clemson, too. We don't know how hard Clemson's recruiting him. I mean, they may be recruiting him hard. We just don't know. But I don't know if you heard, but they had a couple of Georgia commits visit last week, including four-star offensive tackle Bo Hewley. Auburn's got an actual legitimate shot to flip him.
Yes.
Also, Reichwitz McKeldry, an inside guy from a guard from Anniston. He's a Georgia commit, 4-star kid. Auburn's got a shot to flip him. So, again, a lot of irons in the fire, but right now only one commitment on the offensive line, and that's 4-star center Braden Joyner of Auburn. And so Auburn High. So they've got a lot of work to do there, but they're putting in the effort, I can tell you that.
Also going defensively, I see that going the junior college route, trying to get a linebacker with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's a guy that's been on the radar for them for a while, and other schools have noticed him. And we don't know much about his recruitment just yet. Things are just starting to take off, but I wouldn't be surprised if he visited Auburn. But, they've got to sign some linebackers. Look, I'm just going to be honest, guys. They've got needs at every single position on the team. Maybe they're the best spot at tight end, but they still want to sign 1 or 2 tight ends. So this is they lost a lot of talent off last year's team. And after this year, they're going to lose guys like Tank Bigsby and Owen Popo. So there's no spot on the roster where they're not going to have to sign some guys. I mean, this cycle, it's every position's a priority position right now. You don't say that all the time, but it is. Quarterbacks, they've signed a bunch of quarterbacks. Yeah, but you got to get one every year. Offensive line, running back, everywhere across the board, they've got big needs. They absolutely do. But at linebacker, one of the guys that they're bringing in this weekend, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to see right now, Lewis Carter at Tampa Catholic. Right now, North Carolina and Oklahoma are the 2 to watch. He's only visited Auburn once. But if this visit goes well this weekend, I suspect Auburn's going to move right into position to be a major contender for him.
Yeah, no question about that. And as far as the needs you talked about Auburn having pretty much across the board, who are some of maybe the priority, skill guys offensively for Auburn right now in your mind?
Yeah. Well, you got to bring in a good quarterback every year, right? So Brock Glenn of Memphis is Auburn's main QB target right now. They recruited some other guys earlier, Chris Vizino, Birmingham, Deontay Moore, Michigan, but they've really zeroed in on Brock Glenn, who was just a kind of a guy that offer sort of came out of nowhere, but it seemed like, but it was on what was his 3rd visit to Auburn, not his first. So they had been in touch with him for a while, and since then, he's actually picked up a little steam. He did really well at an Elite 11 camp at Ohio State offered. So his stock is rising, but it looks like Auburn's the favorite right now to land him. At running back, you've got out of Montgomery Catholic, Jeremiah Cobb, probably an Auburn-Clemson battle. He's officially visiting Auburn this weekend. Proximity to home is helping Auburn here, we think. And also, he's got a great relationship with Cadillac. He's done things that for Auburn. Since the receiver, there's almost too many guys to name, quite frankly, right now. But the main guy is Carmelo English of Central High School in Phoenix City. On June 2nd, we think anyway. Tight end, Jelani Thurman, like the Bulldogs, 25. Kind of that new tight end, get in water, but also super athletic, and he's also kind of a high-level basketball recruit. So he's met with Ryerson and Bruce Pearl, wide while in Auburn, and Bruce Pearl has said, listen, if you want, you will get a shot to make the basketball. And that's appealing to him. Now, he knows it's going to be a little further basketball than at some schools that are going to offer him the chance to play both sports. He's not offered a spot on the team just to try out. But that's enough for him. And I think Auburn into a better position with it. Surprisingly, Michigan State is up there. And Mel Tucker's done a good job cycles in getting top players from Alabama and Georgia to visit in Florida all week. And we're not used to Michigan State, so it's kind of been fun. Point being that Auburn's got some competition for the tight end Jelani Thurman. He's going to visit, I think, Alabama and one other school in the next 2 weeks, and we'll see what happens there. Those are your main offensive guys.
Yeah, Keith, you mentioned that they've only had just one commitment so far. Do you anticipate? Do you get a feeling maybe in the next coming couple weeks that we might get more commitments? Or is this just going to be one of these processes where Auburn's just going to keep hitting that ground?
Well, I think I don't know if they get 5 or 6 commitments. They actually have 2 commitments right now. One Joyner and one, and they're recruiting 3 of Terrence Love's teammates at Langston Hughes High School, just outside of Atlanta, and I think they got a real shot with all 3 of them. Bo Hewley, the Georgia offensive tackle commit, Jelani Thurman, the tight end we just mentioned, and then Joshua Horton, a defensive tackle. I think they could maybe get all 3. Obviously, the Georgia commit, Bo Hewley, probably the toughest to land. But I think July is going to be a big month for Auburn. July 2nd, we mentioned Carmelo English, the 4-star receiver from Phoenix City Central. He's announcing. There's going to be some other things. You've got Big Cat Weekend at the end of the month. I wouldn't be, again, 2 commitments right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 5 or 6 after July. I mean, as long as you're laying the groundwork for commitments, you're okay. It seems like a lot of kids are back in that wait-and-see mode again, just with college football in general, with NIL and all that. It wasn't too long ago everybody was committing early. Now you've got more and more kids saying, I think I'm going to ride it out a little bit, see what shakes out. And that makes sense. All kids that are being recruited by Auburn want to see how the season plays out. But also you want to see how the season maybe plays out at some of the other schools recruiting you too. And it all works together. But I think Auburn fans are just going to have to be patient. But they'll come. Commitments always come. I mean, Auburn never doesn't get some pretty good players. It's just how many are they going to get? Last year was okay. The transitional cycle, the Gus Malzahn to Brian Harsin cycle, for 2021 was not great. And so you really need this cycle, this class to be strong. You do, because you've got a lot of needs, and you've got a lot of guys that may have to play early next year. So it's got to be a home run class. And we'll see. Again, they're in it with a lot of guys, but now you got to finish it off.
Yeah, there's no question about it. They got to finish it off. And how in your mind, I know you know him well as well. He's a former Gator on the trail. How is Ike Hilliard being? And he's a guy that coached in the NFL. How is he being received by these kids?
Not just Florida, he didn't coach in the NFL. He knows the land. He signed in 4. He knows the lay of the land, and he understands that. And he's already had an impact because Auburn beat out a few schools for the LSU transfer receiver Coy Moore, and I think Ike Hilliard's ties to Louisiana, along with Trevon Reed, one of their off-the-field guys who played at Auburn. His ties to Louisiana also helped. Ike's got Auburn probably. Other than that, we think they're only going to sign maybe 3 receivers, and they're still looking at a guy Kai Breed from Louisiana at the time. Do they need a slot, which he plays, or do they need the emphasis to be maybe on the outside? They offered actually a couple receivers yesterday, which was interesting, Drew and Scott. It was
one from Arizona. Yep.
One from Arizona, and then one at night from California. I don't know what that means. Is that a bad sign? I don't think so. I think, look, the picture's going to come more into focus on July 2nd. If they land Carmelo English, then all of a sudden you're going to get 2 more guys, and you can kind of aim high in the boat. So I think he's been received fairly well. And, in fact, I wrote a story last week. I'm pretty good friends with one of the guys he coached with the Steelers, a guy named Adrian Clem, who's now the offensive line coach at the University of Oregon. He said, I know his college experience. Is that going to matter? He said, no, not at all, because I've making him interact with people and players. And it should be none of those other things I mentioned matter in work hard. A lot of guys go recruit all day, every day. And we'll see how it goes. But supposedly, word is during the offseason, the receivers have made some good strides. It's not just for him that you have in making this better. So we'll see what he's got. He's a smart guy, and he always was. I knew him in college, a very high guy. And you could tell from day one he was just a guy. Some guys are just sounds like so smart. 25 years ago.
Keith Niebuhr with us there. That's some good stuff there on Auburn recruiting. And it's a busy time for Auburn. Busy time.
It is. And, Keith, we appreciate you. I know it's been for sticking with us. I know you had some spotty service there, but you stuck with us as you're on your way to Tampa to get the scoop on a potential official visit for Auburn. But we appreciate what you're doing for On 3 once again and for helping us out as you always do, and let everybody know how to connect with you.
Yeah, just auburnlive.com. And I'm so sorry about the spotty service, guys. But
nothing you can do.
I assure you, I am deep in the woods, man. But y'all take care, and everybody in the Rocket City take care, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, that's what you got to do sometimes when you're out there. You got to hit those trails, so to speak. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still looking at a clean slate this morning. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems to report. You be careful on your ride in. Head for the door early. You might need the extra time before we wrap it up. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
America First Alabama PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Dale Strong is wrong for North Alabama. Strong is wrong on monuments. As a county commissioner, Dale Strong broke the law when he moved a historic town square monument away in the dark of night. And then he used taxpayer money to pay for his fine. Strong is wrong on taxes. When the Alabama legislature rammed through the unpopular gas tax, what did Dale Strong do? Nothing. Even though Strong knew this was a bad deal, in his own words, he did nothing to derail it. Strong is wrong for Congress. And what will North Alabama get out of Dale Strong as a congressman? An establishment insider and career politician who will not stand up for us and will join the Washington swamp. All these wrongs don't make him right. Strong is wrong on monuments. Strong is wrong on taxes. Strong is just plain wrong for Congress. On June 21st, don't make the wrong choice. Reject Dale Strong.
Hey, Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, Managing Partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
Do you want bad internet or good internet? Because WOW has good internet. Internet 100 is extra reliable, super fast, and just $24.99 a month. Plus, learn how to get a year of HBO Max included at wowway.com. Wow. Limited to new internet customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Subject to change. Terms apply.
All the press conferences.
It's our mental energy. I would say spend less time complaining about, when I was going to get an opportunity. Just spend more time training and working towards.
Plus, all of the rat poison is served up right here.
It's yummy.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talking Ball with Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you until 9 a.m. We talked a little Auburn recruiting there to start the show. We switched the scenes. Time to talk a little Alabama recruiting on a Thursday morning. Another busy weekend as well for the Tide.
Yeah, it is. No question about it. It's a busy time for Alabama. Camp's been going on all June. They've had official visitors coming in. They had a huge weekend last weekend. They've got another big one slated for this weekend as well. Our next guest has, for the last few years, done a great job as a recruiting reporter for 24/7 Sports and Bama Online 24/7. He's on top of it as always. And this time of year, you have to sleep fast. There's a lot of information that's free-flowing and coming out. And he's been good enough to join us once again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. That's our good friend Hank South. Hank, you're in Huntsville, Alabama, 97.7 The Zone's Talking Ball. Drew and Scott, how are you?
Hey, guys, I'm good. How are y'all?
Thank you, man. We appreciate the time, certainly.
Yep.
A big weekend for Alabama last weekend, a lot of star power, especially on the offensive line. We just talked to Keith Niebuhr. Auburn trying to sign, a large offensive line class. I was hearing last night Alabama may be targeting as many as 5 guys. And we see one of the top targets who was just on campus and who lives about 3 miles down the road set a recruiting or a commitment date, yesterday in Wilkin Formby.
Yeah, and obviously that's big news. He's been one of Alabama's top offensive line targets since they've offered him earlier this year. Took his official visit last weekend, and then shortly after set his commitment date. He was saying, following his trip that he wanted to make a decision before his senior season, probably sometime in the next month. But he kind of upped the ante there and set it for June 20th, this upcoming Monday, 7 o'clock Central Time. I think Bama, that's kind of been the popular pick, and that's the pick I'm riding with at this point. I know Ole Miss has done a really good job recruiting him, and he's very high on the program. But you kind of look at Alabama, and obviously they've got the proximity. He's got the ties to the program. He's very close with Eric Wolford, the new offensive line coach, and I think he's really felt like they've made him a priority. And so, I think that's going to be tough to beat for any other program. We'll see if Ole Miss can give him any more pause, but I think Bama's the team to beat there.
No question. And then, as far as coming off the weekend in your mind, who is maybe another offensive lineman you think they're in really good shape for? I know they had 4 top targets on campus, Caden Proctor being one of them from Des Moines, Iowa, and Scott's old stomping grounds. I know the Hawkeyes are thought to be in a strong position, but who's another offensive lineman maybe to watch, Hank?
Yeah, I think all 4 of the guys that were on campus, you could kind of tag on. I really make a big impression on Caden Proctor. I think already, obviously, very high on him. I think the visit really knocked it out of the park for him and his mother. I have a story coming up on Bama Online here in a little bit with her reaction, a little bit what she's about the trip. But, I think Bama really solidified competitor against Iowa there for Caden Proctor, and I'm not sure, that's going to play a huge factor when it comes down to his final decision. So I think Bama really helped themselves with him. Francis, the tackle in the country, he was on campus for the first time, and I think the IMG ties there could really pay off for Alabama. With obviously guys they've sent out with Evan Neal, J.C. Latham, Tyler Booker, the next upcoming guys. I think that really helps, pitch Alabama to guys like Francis Maui-Go. I know he had a really good time. There's some reaction up from him with Greg Biggins up on BamaOnline.com from earlier this week. And then Olaus Alinen, the Finnish offensive lineman that finally got on campus with his parents. He's been on. This was his fourth visit to Alabama since November, but his parents hadn't been able to see it yet. They've obviously been out of country, and now with this official visit slate, they're able to see the schools that he's been highly interested in, with Alabama being one of those. So he's named Bama his leader in the past. I think deep down that's probably what he still feels, but he's kind of pulled back a little bit and not naming leaders. He has a top 4 or 5 that he's looking at, but I think when he makes the decision, I think Bama's going to be a tough out there for schools like Ohio State or Miami or Georgia.
Yes, no question about it, and so it looks like they're and I know it's hard to tell; it's early in the process, but it seems though that the emphasis and the backbone of this 2023 group for Alabama is going to be O-line, D-line.
Yeah, I would think so, especially in the defensive line front. We'd look at throughout the state. Just you don't even really have to leave the state of Alabama to fill out most of your defensive line class, whether it be Peter Woods, James Smith, Kelby Collins, Hunter Osborne. There's just a loaded group of defensive linemen within the state, and then out of state that there's some guys they're highly interested in as well. So I think that's a spot they really want to hit on, especially after signing a little bit smaller of a number of defensive linemen in the 2022 class. With the amount of talent that's available, with the need, I think that's an area you really look at. And then offensive line, I think every year you could probably argue that offensive line, defensive line are probably your critical areas where you really need to hit on to have success. And it's a very strong class. Obviously, we saw the loaded amount of talent they're in on this past weekend on official visits, and then we're going to see some. We're going to see another big-time offensive lineman on campus this weekend, another 5-star they recently offered in Samson Okunlula on his official visit. So tons of top talented guys that they're positioning themselves well for.
Yeah, and I think there's also a report that there was a young man from St. John Bosco who came in maybe not with as big a name, Hank, as far as being a 5-star, but he had an outstanding camp, and I think they like him as a guard. Obviously, Eric Wolford, Nick Saban, but this young man kind of came in under the radar. We've seen this happen before, including in seasons past, where guys come in kind of unknown, and they end up, getting an offer and committing to Alabama. But talk about this young interior OL.
I am completely drawing a blank. Can you give me his name?
I'm sorry. I was just he's a young guy. I guess I was given his name, and he was he had. I know that I was sent some information from a good friend of mine, and I guess he had maybe had gotten some intel from the camp, so to speak, and he had. I was told.
Oh, gotcha. I know who you're talking about.
I was told to watch him. And I know that I was and then what I was asking is I was sent some more info last night, and I'm trying because I don't know what it is, but so many of these kids' names, as far as the pronunciations, I've been struggling with, and that's on me because I have not been able to, that's why I was kind of counting on you. But again, he's a young man from the state of California. I know that I think they said he measured 6'6", 345 pounds, and I was told that he practiced that really he came in and it was a situation where he was I don't know that he was on the radar screen to be offered, but he certainly played. He certainly did a nice job, and they have offered him. And his name is, I'm going to try the best I can here, Raymond. Of course, I can pronounce Raymond well, but it's Polito. I'm going to do the best I can there.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, drawing a blank. Yeah, we guys coming off that have some camp practices and go from not even being on the discussion board, the radar that we're really looking at, being able to commit to Alabama a few weeks later. That happened last year with Kobe Prentice. Who,
yes, that's a great,
kind of
good comparison. Yeah,
recruiting followers, and he committed to Maryland, and then got a Bama offer the next day, and then to Maryland a couple of weeks, and was in class. It can certainly, Raymond Polito, and I want to say there was a California offensive lineman from a few years back that did kind of the same thing. He came and had a really strong camp workout. I don't even think he was ranked, and his name was Jared something. He ended up not being in the class, but he was committed for a short time. So it's certainly possible. Camp is obviously the ultimate kind of measuring stick outside of what you put on tape and what you're doing at the high school level. Bama really values their camp workout and putting you through kind of one of their workouts and seeing how you react, how you respond to it, and what you can do in front of the coaches. So when you can do that well, coupled with already performing at a high level at the high school stage, that's really big in Alabama's eyes.
What do we know about Jacoby Johnson?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. He was kind of a late add to the official visitors list last week, and he's been a guy on Bama's radar, a top 100 athlete from the state of Oklahoma. He took a visit back in April, an unofficial visit, had a good time. Then he set up this official visit, and he's about 6'3", 185-ish. He can play both sides of the ball. Bama's kind of putting that ball in his court in terms of what he wants to do, but I think he probably ultimately projects as a defensive back, and I think that might really help Bama in terms of pitching the program to him. I think he really likes the opportunity of being tutored by Nick Saban as a cornerback. I mean, obviously you got to love the size at 6'3" as a cornerback, kind of like that Kyrie Jackson mold. But I think Bama is right there with him, a guy we probably should talk about a little bit more going forward. Oklahoma's kind of been thought of as the team to beat, and obviously for good reason. He's from the state of Oklahoma. But I think Bama has really kind of impressed he and his family. I spoke to his dad and Jacoby, and they both had nothing but just really great things to say about the program. And he's an interesting kid because he also plays basketball, and he might be doing both. I don't know if it's a set thing he's going to do at the next level or that he's super committed to. But he has been talking to the Alabama basketball staff as well. Terrion Arnold was his host on the visit, and so obviously you have the dual sport connection there. He was able to talk to him about that a little bit, and he's been talking to Nate Oates and the basketball staff. But just a really unique one of these big time athlete prospects you can do a lot with. But I think Bama really helped themselves with him this past weekend.
Yeah, and then another guy I've got to ask you about because I know he's paying homage and happy birthday to his father, and I know he was on campus recently, and Ohio State and USC are thought to be in there strong too, but it sounded like Alabama made a big impression. What are your thoughts on wide receiver Brandon Ennis?
Yeah, another guy I thought Bama was probably in pretty good shape for entering his visit. It was just he hadn't been on campus yet. He was supposed to be. He had some stuff come up, couldn't make it, but he did say back in April when he had to cancel that visit, he said, I'll be there that first weekend of June, and he followed through and he took that trip, and I think it went as well as it could have gone. Any elite tier receiver heavily consider Alabama in the last few years with what the production they've had and the output they've had in the NFL, and I think that's kind of opened his eyes, and obviously you get that top Florida connection, the American Heritage Program connect. Earl Little, but has Patrick Surtain to talk to, and just that long line of South Florida staff that come through the Alabama program, particularly from American Heritage where he's playing at. So, there's been I think some recent Oklahoma 1 point under Lincoln Riley. So USC is obviously made there, but I think he's giving Bama a very strong look and certainly firmly in that top three for him.
Yeah, and then, of course, we know Will Reichert is in his senior season, had an outstanding career at Alabama, the former Hoover High standout. But we saw this, tweet from this young man earlier in this week after talking to Coleman Hutzler, who is the outside backers and special teams coach for the University of Alabama. We know in the last several years, really past decade, Nick Saban putting an emphasis on putting long snappers on scholarship, punters, and place kickers. They sound like they want to add a kicker to this class. And Peyton Woodring from the state of Louisiana has been offered to Hank. And is Alabama in a strong position for him in your mind?
Yeah, he's one of the only kicker offered last weekend at camp. Bama had a specialist, which again, you have to come out and kind of perform at to get a serious look to offer a specialist. So that he had already visited earlier this year, so he had communication going with the staff, and he showed up on Saturday, kicked a 56-yard to win their competition. And
wow.
He said he had a bunch of good kickoffs from Nick, so he was kicking well right. Saban watching him. So that really helped. He spoke with Nick Saban a little bit on Saturday. We reported I think on Sunday that he thought the offer was going to come soon. I guess they were going over more stuff, but that all did come out on Monday. Spoke with him, and he was on to be expected. I think and Louisiana were his two offers. So he got named them. They're definitely a leader. I heard Georgia offered on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think they have on Tuesday. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go take a visit to Athens as well. But I think Bama is definitely the team to beat right now for him. I think we could probably see him join the class sooner rather than later here in this group.
And as we're wrapping it up with Hank South, recruiting reporter, 24/7 Sports, Bama Online 24/7. I know he set a commitment date for July the 8th. There's some anxiety because of a push by Clemson. Peter Woods, we talked about how important the defensive line class is. He may be the best defensive lineman. I think he probably is a prospect in the state of Alabama in a loaded group. I know there's Keldrick Falk, Kelby Collins, some really good players that are in the state of Alabama this year, James Smith. But Peter Woods, Thompson, state champion, a guy that's Alabama's recruited for a long time. What seems to be the intel on his situation?
Yeah, there has been some Clemson buzz. I think that's to be expected. He took his official visit over to Clemson earlier this month, and I think they're obviously they're making a huge push for him. I just don't. It's hard to see a scenario where he doesn't end up at Alabama, and maybe I missed on this one, but since he got offered, early on, I think he was offered in the spring of 2020 before everything shut down. It's always been thought, at least in my opinion and others, that he's going to end up in Bama's class. He's probably been if you're trying to circle, one of the biggest targets that they're going after, he's one of them. And so, he's been to Bama about 50 times. I think everyone was asking me, is he going to take his official visit before his announcement day? And I don't really think it's necessary. I think he knows exactly what there's at Alabama. And it's very It's very similar to Jeremiah Alexander's situation last year. There was all the buzz that he had already decommitted from Alabama once, and he set his commitment date for early July, and Clemson, Georgia. Everyone, people thought it was going to be one of those two schools, and then he committed back to Alabama. So. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen, but I think Bama's still in strong position for Peter Woods. I think that's kind of always been the team to beat. So we'll see. We'll see in a few weeks on July 8th.
No doubt about it, Hank. And final thought, I bring up Keldrick Falk because I know Auburn's been very aggressive. I saw the young man play in person on the basketball court. He is absolutely a put-together specimen. I know he plays at a small 2A school in Highland Home near Luverne in Alabama. a priority for the Crimson Tide? I haven't heard a lot of buzz. I believe he's been offered, but what have you heard with Alabama and Keldrick Falk?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest. I'm not sure that a major push has been made yet. I know we saw him in the spring a couple times. And I think he could be a guy that, maybe in the next few months that, they see him in the senior season and they see some more.
Want to watch him, right.
I want to watch and get him on campus for an official visit. Certainly a kid that, we shouldn't forget about. But last time I talked, like you said, Auburn's been pushing for him. I know he told me recently or in the last month or so that Clemson was heavy in his recruitment. So, certainly a guy Bama can, I think, they can be as involved as they want to be for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Nick Saban has also been to the high school, so that's what I thought was interesting. But they do that sometimes. They want to watch a kid's first few games before they make an absolute final decision. But, well, Hank, we appreciate it for you joining us. You always give us great intel and info on Alabama recruiting. It's going to be busy, as you said. We could see some major news coming up on Monday with Wilkin Formby, as you said, on the 20th. So we'll have to wait and see there. But let everybody know how to follow you and your coverage and you guys what you're doing at BamaOnline.com.
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. I think right now it's $1 for months, so you can get kind of the last part of June with these visitors coming up, and then into SEC midday. So good time to join and trickle at South 247.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it, Hank.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, wrap up hour one, Talking Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The Braves are rolling through the summer with some huge matchups and must-win battles, and we'll bring you every pitch.
There's a liner out towards center field. It will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
Tomorrow, the Braves road trip continues as they roll into historic Wrigley Field in Chicago for a weekend set with the Cubs. Braves Radio goes on the air at 1:05 Eastern, 12:05 Central on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
New message. What up, It's Heather's cousin. You dated her in college, or maybe you were just in the same class. Anyway, I heard you bought a boat, my man. Let's hit the water. Oh, and Heather told me you always liked, snacks and stuff, so I could totally bring some chips.
When you get a boat, you also get new friends. Make sure Progressive's one of them, and get coverage today for as little as $100 a year.
Hey, also, I'm a little short on cash, so can you cover the chips? Thanks. I can see why Heather liked you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Got one wreck showing on the board. This one is on Point Mallard Parkway at Country Club in Decatur. That's our only working accident. Everything else seems to be clear this morning. You be careful. Still try to get out the door early if you can. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We've gone country. I haven't heard that song in forever. Wow, is that the Watermelon Crawl?
Ain't nothing wrong with the radio.
It sounds like, remember the Watermelon Crawl?
Yes, I
don't know if
remember.
that.
It sounds
that's not the same
exactly
dude, I don't
like
think.
the Watermelon Crawl. I don't know. Anyway, 256-576.
This is definitely old school country. This is not the pop stuff.
No, that right there is roll the windows down in the truck, get on the road, and just have a good time. Country.
And there ain't nothing wrong with the radio. We manage. We got through this first hour, even with spotty cell service, which we can't control. But we appreciate both our guests coming on. We usually space our guests out, but, it's all about availability and where they are. And we appreciate Keith for staying with us. We appreciate Hank for staying with us. We hope you enjoyed those segments and got some information out of there. They both do a great job. And, we've also talked to Braves in this first hour because, that's a record last night. 14 wins in a row. And as you said, an off day today, Scott. They're headed to your stomping grounds to take on the Cubs at Wrigley Field for, I think, 3 straight day games. So,
yeah, the Atlanta Braves, 14 wins in a row. They get that win last night against the Nationals. They have won, by the way, if you're counting, 10 games in a row inside Nationals Park. So the Atlanta Braves playing some really good baseball in the nation's capital. The start of June, the Atlanta Braves were 10.5 games behind the New York Mets. The Braves, because of this 14-game win streak and the Mets kind of going up and down right now, the Atlanta Braves have trimmed that in half. I think it's down to 5 games or 4.5 games, 5.5 games there for the Atlanta Braves. So the Atlanta Braves have yet to lose in the month of June, as they have won 14 straight games, 10 in a row at the Nationals Park, and now they take advantage. It's 4 games. The lead is down to 4 games in the NL East. So the Atlanta Braves have trimmed off 6.5 games over the month of June. And now they have the woeful Chicago Cubs, who just got obliterated by the San Diego Padres. I think they gave up maybe 60-some hits, and I don't know.
The Padres are hot, too, though. As you mentioned in the Zone Center, they're tied with the Dodgers. They're playing really good baseball right now.
When you're facing the Cubs, anybody's hot right now. Because, basically, I think the Cubs have this last few games for Chicago, I think, have been awful when it comes to facing their last few games. I really do believe, let's see here. Let me check the Cubs here. It has been awful, I think, the last few. I know last night they gave up 21 hits and 19 runs. They lost 19-5. The day before, they lost 12-5. And they lost 4-1 against the Padres. But then against the Yankees, they lost 18-4. And then they lost 8-0. So if Atlanta does not go into Chicago and just destroy the Cubs, then, leave it to be the Cubs to end this 14-game win streak, as bad as they've been playing. But still, that's the Major League Baseball news and notes there. But, yeah, last night, Michael Harris, the rookie, the second, got a standing ovation from the crowd there.
Yeah, it
Park.
just seemed like the Braves fans took Nationals Park over during that series.
Well, you've won 10 in a row there. I mean, they pretty much own.
And the Nationals suck.
Well, that too.
I mean,
yes.
they much like the Cubs, both of these teams are recent World Series champions, the Nationals and the Cubs, but they've both basically traded away all their star power. And and rebuilding.
Well, nothing makes me happier than to see Chris Bryant playing for the Rockies and struggling.
Well, he's not. Is he even playing? He's been out with a back injury.
Doesn't bother me.
I mean, is he even? They gave him a boatload of money, and he's barely even been playing.
That's all it was about for him. I mean, it's all it was about for Chris Bryant was the money. I mean, you look at it, and Chicago made the right move. There were I know you hated to get rid of the big core and Anthony Rizzo and all that other stuff. Now, if the Cubs can just get rid of the Jason Hayward contract.
Oh, Lord.
Get rid of Jason Hayward, then they can actually start making some progress to get some things going in the future. That Jason Hayward contract is a huge, gigantic albatross.
Well, and that's why. And speaking of good moves, the Braves made the right move not signing him to a huge contract because they traded him to, I believe, he went to St. Louis for a year, and then the Cubs signed him. And he's always been a good defensive outfielder, but he's never swung the bat like they thought he would. He's just never been a consistent hitter. And he's made a lot of big money, but as you said, it's been it's one contract where the Cubs have not been able to dump it, so to speak.
Well, no one wants to take on that massive contract. But anyway, speaking of contracts, and this is in the NFL news and notes, and this is about as good as you can get to wrap up the first hour. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Pittsburgh Steelers, they agreed to a 4-year contract extension worth $18.4 million a year, along with a guaranteed $36 million signing bonus, makes him the highest paid safety in the history of football.
Yeah, this is a contract that's been being worked on by the Steelers, and I'm still hopeful for Tua and Jalen Waddle and some of these cats with the Dolphins, but what a stupid trade by the Miami Dolphins to basically – they used the first-round pick they got for Minkah on an offensive lineman that's really not even all that good. And Minkah, predictably, once he was used correctly, because Brian Flores, to me – I know our good friend Mike Detillier is high on him, and he worked for Bill Belichick and all that. And now, ironically, he will be coaching Minkah Fitzpatrick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm sorry. Brian Flores and his coaching staff didn't use Minkah properly. They moved him around too much, didn't find a permanent role for him. As soon as the Steelers do, like I said, he's a superstar, ball hawk. I think he's going to end up in Canton. But I just think Flores is overrated as a head coach. I thought he was pathetic. I don't care that they won 7 or 8 in a row in Miami. He never made the playoffs. He didn't develop Tua at all. I don't think he understood offense. And then again, defensively, he's built a good defense there. But why are you giving up Minkah Fitzpatrick? To me, that was a stupid move. I know Minkah asked for a trade, but Brian Flores didn't handle it properly, or the front office.
All right, that's going to do it for hour one. When we come back, we're going to talk U.S. Open golf. It is underway. I got some good college football conversation to go your way, plus some Army-Navy football update. We'll talk all of it when we return after this.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got one wreck showing on the board. This one is on Point Mallard Parkway at Country Club in Decatur. That's our only working accident. Everything else seems to be clear this morning. You be careful. Still try to get out the door early if you can. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
In the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Otherwise, it is going to be incredibly hot. Once again, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees. An isolated shower is going to be possible across the Tennessee Valley. Most of us going to end up staying dry. Dropping into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight. Mostly a partly sunny sky for your Friday. Again, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
NFL teams reporting for minicamp this week, less than 2 months from the start of the preseason. The Buffalo Bills currently a plus 650 favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Bucs at plus 700, Chiefs plus 900, defending champion Rams and Packers each at plus 1,000. Warriors trying to close out the NBA Finals in 6 tonight. The Celtics are looking to force Game 7. Game 6 at TD Garden in Boston tonight with the Celtics a 4-point favorite and the over-under set at 210. Rory McIlroy jumped ahead of Justin Thomas early this week at the top of the odds board for the U.S. Open, teeing off today. McIlroy at plus 1,000, Thomas plus 1,200, Scotty Scheffler at plus 1,400, Cameron Smith and John Rahm at plus 1,600.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back to Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. 8:02 on a Thursday morning. Welcome back to the show. And the 122nd U.S. Open Golf Tournament has begun. It is underway. The Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts is the home of the U.S. Open. This is golf's third major of the year. And right now, Colin Morikawa is leading the way through 6 holes. He is 2 under. Russell Henley on his heels. Russell's played 4. He's teed off on the back 9. He's 2 under. A slew of golfers at 1, even more at even par. Several already over par. And poor Troy Merritt through 7 holes. He's 6 over. So not going his way this morning. Stuart Sink has teed off this morning, as has Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is 2 over through 5 holes this morning. Stuart Sink is 1 over. Stewart has already played 3 holes, but he is teed off on the back 9. Will Zalatoris is teed off. He is 1 over through 3 holes. Hideki Matsuyama is 1 over through 5 holes. So several big names already on the plus side. Very early, though. Very, very early. Remember, the U.S. Open can be a tough course. Rory McIlroy is even.
And he's the favorite, right?
One of the favorites. He's even through his first 5. And then kind of going through some of the names. But yeah, that's your U.S. Open full leaderboard as of right now. Some big names, though, will tee off later this afternoon.
Yes, they will, and it's at the Country Club, Brookline, Massachusetts, is the venue this year for the U.S. Open. It's always a great event, always Father's Day weekend, and so we'll have our golf analyst Charlie Plott with us hopefully tomorrow to give us some analysis on round one and who he likes going into the weekend, Scott.
Phil Mickelson will tee off, by the way, at 12:47. And Bryson DeChambeau will tee off at 12:47 as well. Bryson will tee off on the back nine. Phil will tee off on the front nine there. But a lot of attention will be on the afternoon pairings there, simply because Phil's part of the LIV Tour, Bryson DeChambeau part of the LIV Tour.
Yeah.
So live, whatever they want to call it, both of them playing in the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open has said, hey, we don't care about anything that goes on. We're the U.S. Open. Anybody can play in the U.S. Open. Welcome him back with open arms, Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau. So both of them, a lot of attention will be on that afternoon pairings there, because Justin Thomas, by the way, will tee off at 12:14 this afternoon. Sergio Garcia, part of that LIV Tour, he will tee off at 12:03. So that is the U.S. Open golf tournament, always on Father's Day weekend. Always fun to be a part of watching that right there. All right, college football note for you. College football, the transfer portal. 24/7 Sports said, okay, guys, boom or bust candidates. These are guys that either going to boom or they're going to bust. And one of them that they bring up is, and he's going to have to try to win the starting quarterback job, but how should we look at Zach Calzada transferring from Texas A&M to Auburn? His sample size last year, 67.7 completion percentage rate, 285 yards and 3 touchdowns in that upset over Alabama.
His best game of the year.
Best game of his career as a quarterback. He's pushing TJ Finley. He's pushing Robbie Ashford to be the starting quarterback at Auburn. If Zach Calzada does not get the starting job, if, let's say, TJ Finley or Robbie Ashford come out there, they become the starter at Auburn, is it a bust scenario for Zach Calzada transferring from Texas A&M to Auburn?
Well, I've got some info on that, and it comes from, he's been a guest on our show. He's now a co-worker, a colleague with Keith Niebuhr of at Auburn Live and on on3sports.com. He's headed to Omaha to cover Butch Thompson's Auburn Tigers as they try to win a national championship. We talked about that yesterday. But it looks like some tweaks to the system as far as Brian Harsin's offense.
Right.
They are implementing concepts that Zach Calzada did very well at Texas A&M and that he seemed to excel in while he was there last year as the starting quarterback. And then, of course, as we know, played very well against Alabama, but was a little up and down during the year when they go 8-4 and choke 4 times and end up 4th in the Western Division. But he still had some bright moments. It looks like Brian Harsin and his offensive staff.
Eric Kiesau.
Yeah, Eric Kiesau, who's been moved to the offensive coordinator spot, someone that Brian Harsin is very comfortable with from his days at Boise State. But it looks like they are going to add offensive concepts that are very familiar to Zach Calzada from Texas A&M. And in doing this, I think it's interesting that you would think, and now it is still a competition, and remember, he didn't go through spring.
He was hurt.
It was
right.
TJ Finley, Robbie Ashford, and those guys, and Garinger, the true freshman. But I think what they're wanting is I think Zach Calzada, they'll never admit this, but in doing that, I think he may be the favorite for this job. I think they believe he can win the job outright with his arm talent and his athleticism. So don't be surprised. And, of course, to me, if that happens, we might see TJ Finley move on for the second time because, look, I mean, he's already transferred from LSU when he didn't win that job and they had a coaching change. And if he's not playing at Auburn, I wouldn't expect him to stay and back up Zach Calzada. That's just my speculation. Now, Robbie Ashford, he's still a young player. He's from the Hoover in the state of Alabama. Holden Garinger, I do think he's a young player. He's a developmental quarterback. But if Zach Calzada beats out TJ Finley, I would expect Finley to move on. But it sounds like that Coach Harsin, Eric Kiesau, and these guys, Scott, are setting the stage to potentially give Zach Calzada a pathway to be the starting quarterback at Auburn. But but if he doesn't win the job outright right away, I don't think it's a bust situation. I don't think you can call it that yet. You'd have to let it play out. But I'm just telling you, if you ask me to bet who's going to take the first snap for Auburn in September, I think it's going to be Zach Calzada.
So that potentially could lead to a boom for Auburn and their offense. Another player on this list, former Alabama wide receiver Ajay Hall, who has transferred to Texas. Now, Ajay Hall telling Horns 24/7 that the one thing that really stood out is the culture. Bama fans, he says, they're not really loving. If I could say, even when you leave, Texas fans are like family. They love you unconditionally. They want the best for you and want to make sure you're striving to be the best person you are, whether it's people in the stands, players, or coaches. They're all connected with
Shut up.
And
Is
Ajay Hall boom or bust?
He's a bust. Texas? I'm just talking about Ajay Hall, and that's who I'm telling to shut up. The kid needs to be quiet. He's a moron. He totally screwed himself at Alabama. It's all his fault. He did not handle himself properly at all, did not practice well, went out in the national championship game, puked all over himself, dropped the ball. He was terrible. He made one play. He dropped a touchdown. He could have helped him win a national championship. Should have been in the rotation during the season, but he thought after he was MVP of the A-Day game or one of the standouts that's all he had to do. Didn't have to practice hard. Didn't have to go to class. Didn't have to do things the right way. He was immature, and, I mean, that's why he was at 3 different high schools, during his process. But, again, he's been a bust so far. I would bet on him busting at Texas. I mean, Alabama fans, you're talking about they're not supportive. I mean, my goodness, if you produce and if you play well, they're going to be as supportive as any. And even when you first commit and sign, they're very supportive. Yes, if you struggle in games, you might get criticized, but guess what? Put your big boy pants on and catch the football. If you make plays, you're going to be beloved by the fan base. It'll be the same thing at Texas. If he goes out there and drops 2 or 3, and hopefully Will Anderson will break his jaw when he plays against Alabama if he's actually even on the field, if he can actually practice. Because I'll be honest with you, because if I'm an Alabama football player with what that kid did at Bama, and the things you heard behind the scenes, I would be wanting to send a message to him, like, okay, you didn't produce for us. Well, here's what it's like on the other side. That's my opinion, okay? So I think Ajay Hall has talent. I don't think there's any question about it, but he never put it together at Alabama. We'll see if he can do it at Texas. But if I were, Will Anderson or Dallas Turner or one of the safeties, Jordan Battle, he's going to be a dude that I'm gonna light him up a little bit. I'm going to test him, but even if he's on the field, because again, he and guys like Jaleel Billingsley.
I was going to say, can you add Jaleel Billingsley to this boom or bust list?
Absolutely, because they didn't produce at Alabama at times. At times they did, especially Jaleel. He made several plays during the 2020 National Championship season, made a big catch on that fourth down in the Iron Bowl for Alabama to come back and win, in the multiple overtimes because of the 2-point conversions. But again, he was a guy that didn't put it all together either. Both of these guys could really help Texas. I don't think there's any question that I'm not going to question either one of their talent, but I think they could also both bust because they've never done things the right way consistently. So, I think Jaleel Billingsley has a better chance to be a factor for Texas. With Jeff Banks, his position coach, who coached him at Alabama, and he has made some plays in big games before. Ajay Hall has done nothing. He made like 2 catches in the national championship game, but who cares about the 8A game? Who cares about scrimmages? That's just one. They don't mean anything. You got to go make plays on Saturday, and when people are watching. He hasn't done that yet. Could he potentially do it? Yes, but basically trying to blame the Alabama fan base for his shortcomings is really stupid. I'm sorry. He needs to mature. He needs to get his mind right. He needs to practice hard. And if he does, he has a chance to have success. There's no doubt about it. But again, so far, he has been a colossal bust. We'll see what happens when he gets to Texas, no question about that. And Jaleel Billingsley has been a disappointment. But, I won't say he's been a total bust because he's made some plays.
Right, but he's on that boomer bust line because now he does need to perform.
Got one more chance to, fulfill his potential at Texas. And I think Jaleel has a better chance to do so. I'm not a huge Billingsley fan just because of how he approached things at Alabama, but certainly he's back with his old coach, Jeff Banks, and Steve Sarkisian, who he's had success with. So he has a chance to rewrite the ending. But right now, Ajay Hall hasn't even written the first chapter. He hasn't done anything but throw up all over himself in a national championship game and tweet a picture of Michael Jordan before the game, acting like he's going to go out there and be Kevin Norwood. He couldn't clean Kevin Norwood's bathroom right now. He hasn't made any plays, so let's see if he does so. Personally, though, I hope Alabama puts a 30-point beatdown on Texas, and then he's tweeting, BS about I wasn't targeted enough, blah, 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 and starts whining like he did at Alabama on Twitter, to the Texas fans. I'm telling you, Texas fans are very passionate too. If he doesn't go out there and make plays, he's going to hear about it. He's got a chance to, restart his career at Texas. Let's see if he can take advantage of it. But I have a lot more doubt about Ajay Hall and his approach than I do Jaleel Billingsley. But I agree with you, though. Both of them could be busts potentially.
All right, another one, and Tennessee fans are hoping it's a boom rather than a bust, but we don't know really a lot about this guy. Brew McCoy, wide receiver, headed to Tennessee.
He has been talking about somebody moving all the time. Wow.
Right, has potential, easily flirting with the bust line, but has potential to be a big boom for Tennessee.
He's a former 5-star wide receiver. He played with Bryce Young at Mater Dei High School. And if you remember, Scott, he committed to USC. Then he ended up going to Texas. He stayed there for about a week, 2 weeks, it seemed like. And then he transferred back to USC. Never really made a lot of plays. Now he's going to the Tennessee Volunteers to try to salvage his career. He's really not done a whole lot. There was Alabama recruited Brew McCoy out of high school. Ended up not signing the young man. Some thought Alabama might show some interest in the transfer portal. But, again, he's never made a lot of plays. It's going to be interesting because Tennessee took some guys like this last year, in their wide receiver group, and they were okay. I don't think they got a ton of production out of them. It was still mostly Velus Jones, who's now with the Chicago Bears, and he made some plays. But it's going to be really interesting to see, how Brew McCoy does because, again, a lot of production in high school, a huge reputation, but he hasn't been able to find the fit in college.
All right, some other names on this list, and they're kind of like, this is where they end up. Former Arizona State quarterback Jaden Daniels is trying to win that starting quarterback job for LSU with the Tigers and Brian Kelly. During his career, the former Pac-12 star has thrown for 6,000 yards, 32 touchdowns in 29 games. He's added over 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground. Transferred to LSU, didn't really guarantee himself a starting role this past, in Baton Rouge, but does he have the potential to take over the reins at LSU?
Yeah, I mean, he does, and he was good earlier in his career, at Arizona State under Herman Edwards. But I thought he took a step back last year. His touchdown and interception ratio was about 50-50. But, of course, that program, as you know, at Arizona State has gone through a lot of turmoil, especially an NCAA investigation. We know what they did during COVID. They weren't supposed to have kids on campus. They had 1 million of them. The way they were trying to recruit, they were doing a lot of face-to-face stuff, not Zoom, and they're probably going to pay for that. So we'll see what Jaden Daniels can do. He didn't go through spring. Miles Brennan has been on campus the majority of his career at LSU. His problem has been, durability and not being healthy. So we'll see. And we talked about that the other day. They've got Garrett Nussmeier. They've got Walker Howard, but they're younger quarterbacks. You would think it's going to be Jaden Daniels or Miles Brennan. I'll say this, though. They brought Miles Brennan back from the transfer portal first and then went out and got Jaden Daniels. Usually when you go get the second guy, if you've already got a guy, quote unquote, you're looking for an upgrade. And I think, probably due to what he did earlier in his career, I think he's probably intriguing to Brian Kelly. I would watch Jaden Daniels, so we'll see. I think, he would probably be my favorite for the job. Miles Brennan would probably go back into the portal for the third or fourth time if that happened. But I will say, people forget, a couple years ago in 2020, after when LSU was trying to defend their national championship, Miles Brennan was averaging 400 yards passing per game before he had, the abdominal injury, and so to speak. It was an unusual injury, and he ended up missing the majority of the season. So he was playing well, and you kind of hate it for him.
Right.
He's been a guy that's had a lot of injuries, whether it be in the spring or the regular season. If he can stay healthy in fall camp, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays and how he competes with Jaden Daniels. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
All right, let's go to Shane in Decatur. Good morning, Shane.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Got a couple of questions. First one is, isn't Jaden Daniels still like 175 pounds soaking wet?
Well, I mean, he is a kind of a lithe kind of guy. He doesn't have a thick frame. I would say that I would agree with that.
I mean, because like you were talking about Landers in Alabama, I mean, this kid, he can't run around the field like he did in the 12. He's going to get his he's going to put on some weight or something. And then my other question is, the for at South Carolina, they came along with the quarterback.
Spencer Rattler?
Shane, do we still have you?
Well, I mean, we didn't get it. His question obviously was going to deal with South Carolina, and I mean, we can go there. I mean, do we put Spencer Rattler in a boom or bust situation for Shane Beamer and company there in Columbia?
I mean, we could. I still think he's more apt to be successful. I think Shane Beamer's got a good offensive system. We've seen, Spencer Rattler put up some huge stats. Now, he struggled in some bigger games, but he's got more pelts on the wall to me than Jaden Daniels in consistency and Miles Brennan. So I would think that he'd have a chance to succeed. He hasn't been in the SEC. Certainly, in some cases at South Carolina, wouldn't have the supporting cast that he had at Oklahoma, skilled position-wise. But still, I think he's got a chance to do well. I think South Carolina's got some good players around him. I don't know if they have any elite talent, but I do think Shane Beamer and his staff did a really nice job last year building an offense. So with some of the portal additions along with, Spencer Rattler, going to be interesting to see. And we'll find out early because the Gamecocks take on Arkansas, in Fayetteville in week 2, excuse me.
The other quarterback on this, I guess you could say the other player, the other quarterback, Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. I mean, that is full potential. I mean, this guy's coming in.
He played pretty well as a freshman at USC last year, but before the coaching change and decided to move on when Lincoln Riley brought in Caleb Williams, no doubt about it. But, Clay Helton, liked him a lot, and he looked like he had a lot of promise. But as you said, the interesting part, we had David Johnson on the show.
Yes.
You talked with him, and he said Jackson Dart, and from the intel he was getting, was having trouble picking up the offense. And so that's interesting with Luke competing against Luke Altmaier. A lot of people, including myself, thought Dart would come in and win that job, and that may not be necessarily the case.
It is 8:25. Let's get a break in. 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the Traffic Center. That wreck in Decatur, Point Mallard, and Country Club's our only working accident. Should be about ready to clear on it. Traffic level heavy, and we're going to have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. Popeye's Juicy Crunchy Buffalo Ranch Chicken Sandwich is only $4.99. Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Get a $50 gift certificate for $25 right now at Bubby's Diner, home of the Donut Burger.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
America First Alabama PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Dale Strong is wrong for North Alabama. Strong is wrong on monuments. As a county commissioner, Dale Strong broke the law when he moved a historic town square monument away in the dark of night. And then he used taxpayer money to pay for his fine. Strong is wrong on taxes. When the Alabama legislature rammed through the unpopular gas tax, what did Dale Strong do? Nothing. Even though Strong knew this was a bad deal, in his own words, he did nothing to derail it. Strong is wrong for Congress. And what will North Alabama get out of Dale Strong as a congressman? An establishment insider and career politician who will not stand up for us and will join the Washington swamp. All these wrongs don't make him right. Strong is wrong on monuments. Strong is wrong on taxes. Strong is just plain wrong for Congress. On June 21st, don't make the wrong choice. Reject Dale Strong.
2 Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. 2 Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at 2maidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. 2 Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
The Braves are rolling through the summer with some huge matchups and must-win battles, and we'll bring you every pitch.
There's a liner out towards center field. It will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
Tomorrow, the Braves road trip continues as they roll into historic Wrigley Field in Chicago for a weekend set with the Cubs. Braves Radio goes on the air at 1:05 Eastern, 12:05 Central on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
They've upgraded that wreck at Oakwood and Blue Spring to an injury time. We got one in Decatur, Point Mallard and Country Club, that's been trying to clear for the last few minutes. A lot of folks scrambling this morning trying to get in on time. You be careful. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talkin' Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We now have four golfers tied at 2 under the U.S. Open. Matthew Neesmith, Colin Morikawa, Sebastian Munoz, and Russell Henley, all sitting at 2 under this morning from the U.S. Open Golf Tournament. So play is underway.
It is, and I want to also give a shout-out, too. I know I complimented Velas Jones, kickoff returner, wide receiver, Tennessee last year, big senior season from Saraland High School, played for Jeff Kelly, great young man. Returnee Cedric Tillman, from Las Vegas, Nevada. He actually also had 1,000 yards receiving. So they had two guys be really, productive. But the transfer, they got Javonte Payton. He's now with the Arizona Cardinals from Mississippi State. He was okay, had 400 yards. Tillman and Jones were the two guys that really, toted the mail, so to speak. We'll see what happens this year for Tennessee. And really, it was the most production they've had out of the wide receiver spot in several years, because under Philip Fulmer and Johnny Majors, at one time, Tennessee was considered wide receiver U, and it has slipped in that regard. Josh Heupel trying to reestablish that, got off to a nice start. And remember Hendon Hooker, who didn't start the season as the starter, but certainly when he took over, he sparked the team. He came back for his COVID year. He could be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. I think he could be one of the top 3 or 4. He certainly played well for the Vols last year. They had the bowl loss where they should have beaten Purdue and didn't finish. But again, Hendon Hooker coming back, and some think he could be a dark horse Heisman candidate.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. Anybody that you think could be a boom or bust candidate for the college football season, go ahead and get those. I mean, Alabama's got a couple of transfers, especially at running back. Obviously, we feel that our Georgia Tech
Jahmyr Gibbs,
running back from Georgia Tech, will be a boom for Alabama. We agree?
As long as he stays healthy, yes. Runner, receiver, dynamic kickoff returner. I think he has the ability to be the newcomer of the year in the Southeastern Conference. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be dynamic. Tyler Harrell has a chance to be. He has great speed. He's produced before, made a lot more plays than Agiye Hall. Agiye Hall's tweeted more than he's made catches. So we'll see if Agiye can actually do more than tweet when he gets to Texas and plays for Coach Sark. But again, I think Tyler Harrell and Jermaine Burton. Burton's made plays for Georgia. He was their leading wide receiver last year on a national championship team, and certainly, made plays against Alabama in 2020. But let's see what he does for the Crimson Tide. But I think they have a trio of guys, Jermaine Burton, Tyler Harrell, and Jahmyr Gibbs from the transfer portal, that have a chance to have a big impact and help Bryce Young going into his second full season starting for the Crimson Tide.
I was going to tell you, and my mind when we were talking Alabama recruiting there in the first hour, we talked about Alabama closing the gap on the Iowa offensive lineman out of Des Moines. And remember, it wasn't too long ago that Alabama went into the state of Iowa and pulled out one of the best offensive linemen. That's pretty hard to do considering
Ross Piercebacher.
Yep, considering that Iowa develops offensive linemen as some of the best they've been able to do that over time. That is one of the strengths of Kurt Ferentz's programs, is the development of offensive linemen. And so it wouldn't be unusual for Alabama to get a lineman out of Iowa. They've done that before, and it's worked out pretty well. I think Ross Piercebacher settled in pretty nicely there in a Crimson Tide uniform. All right, so the odds are in for the College World Series. Auburn will begin play on Saturday. College World Series play begins tomorrow night in Omaha. And the Vegas odds are in for the favorites. Texas is the favorite to win the College World Series. Statistically, probability to win the College World Series, they are a plus 350. Via Sportsline, they say 22% is the chance that the Texas Longhorns have a chance to win the College World Series. Stanford is your next favorite at plus 450 with an 18.1%. The best SEC team to odds to win the national championship belong to the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Wow.
They are a plus 650 with a 13.3% chance to win the College World Series, followed by Auburn's opponent, the Ole Miss Rebels, with a 12.5% chance to win the College World Series with a plus 700 betting line. The Auburn Tigers right behind that at a plus 750 with a 11.7% chance to win the College World Series. By the way, the team with the longest shot to win is the Texas A&M Aggies at a plus 850 with a 10.5% chance to win the College World Series.
Well, don't tell that to Dirt Neck. He'll call the SEC and complain. Ross Bjork as well.
When talking about the Auburn Tigers, they say opposing teams will try to pitch their best around Sonny DeShara. If not, he's going to smack the baseball around the entire stadium. He leads the Tigers in average on-base percentage, RBIs. The Tigers are hitting 287 as a team, but DeShara is the top run producer, the straw that stirs the drink. Expect to see starting pitcher Joseph Gonzalez early for Auburn. So that's the highlight there for Auburn. So an 11.7% chance to win the College World Series.
Well, I mean, they got as good a shot as anyone. I think it's a wide open World Series. Number 2 seed Stanford might be the favorite, but they had to come out of the losers bracket in their own regional at Sunken Diamond. And remember, they lost, in the supers as well, and had to come out of the losers bracket. So even though it's only a 2-team super regional, again, they had to win 2 out of 3. They didn't sweep. So Stanford lost game 1. Remember, we talked about that. They hit 9 home runs and lost 13-12. So they had to come back theoretically out of the losers bracket, win 2 straight games over a really good UConn club that had won 50 games to win the super regional. And the week before, they were down in the 18. They were down to their last 3 outs against Texas State, and then came back and basically won in a walk-off. So they were able to come back and win their regional over there. And so they were able to they came back, got the lead, and then were able to close it out, I should say, on the mound. But still, Texas State was 3 outs away from winning, could not close it, and then Stanford closed it out and then won that regional in dramatic fashion on a walk-off. And so you got to give Stanford a lot of credit for coming back like that and winning the walk-off the way they did against a really good Texas State team that was from the from the Sun Belt. Pardon me, the Sun Belt I think had 4 teams in regionals, probably the best year ever for them. Texas State was the champion of that league in the regular season, and was one of the most improved teams in all of college baseball, winning nearly 50 games, and again was just 3 outs away from beating Stanford at Sunken Diamond. But Stanford comes back, wins on the walk-off, and then turns around and wins 2 straight in the Super Regional against UConn. So they have not had an easy path, even as a number 2 national seed. And they're still smarting last year because they felt like they should have been in the finals. Vanderbilt, came back and won dramatically and eliminated Stanford. And then we know what happened. Vanderbilt lost to Mississippi State. But still, Stanford's been kind of on a mission to try to get back to Omaha. They have not won it since 87 and 88 when they won it back-to-back under Mark Marquis. So they're trying to win a title for the first time in many, many years. So they're going to be motivated. But look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has made a Cinderella run as the last team to get in from a 3 seed to Omaha. They're playing very, very well. And I think that game with Auburn at 6 p.m., Scott, on Saturday is going to be one of the more fascinating first-round matchups in Omaha, because I think the winner of that game is going to be a dark horse national championship team to watch. And I've said it before, you got to stay in the winner's bracket really to win the thing. Right. And one of those 2 teams is going to have a chance to be 1-0. And if you get to 2-0, you can smell that national championship series. It's right, within your grasp, because if you go 3-0 and stay in the winner's bracket, you're going to be in that championship series.
All right, so that is some college baseball news and notes right there. Hey, Joel Klatt, Joel Klatt, Fox Sports, has put out his top 5 and his almost top 5 for college football teams in America. I don't think there's any surprise, maybe 1 surprise, 2 surprises in all of this. Alabama, he puts as number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Georgia, number 3. Texas A&M, 4. Notre Dame, 5.
What? Hold on. What the hell? Why would you put Texas A&M 4? They lost 4 games last year. There's no reason to put the 4. I don't care how many 5 stars they sign. That doesn't mean anything.
What about even having Notre Dame in the top 5? Texas A&M and Notre Dame. His almost top 5 is Utah, Michigan, Michigan State, and Clemson.
Well,
could you slide any of those almost top 5?
I would slide them all over Dirt Neck. They're all going to be better than Texas A&M, okay? All of them. What did Texas A&M do to warrant a top 5 ranking? What did they do? They wouldn't even play in a bowl game because they thought they were going to get their ass beat by Wake Forest. That's why they didn't play.
Is this
I don't buy the fact they didn't have enough players. Jimbo Fisher was protecting himself because he was too busy out there buying recruits and putting together the collective to get there. He didn't want to lose momentum for his recruiting class because Dave Clawson from a basketball school at Wake Forest probably would have whipped the hell out of them in the bowl game. I mean, come on.
Is this the
top
first,
5?
Yeah,
Shut up, Joel.
Is this the first, though? Is Texas A&M, is Notre Dame? I mean, Notre Dame does not have Brian Kelly. We don't know what Marcus Freeman is going to do or be as a coach at Notre Dame. I mean, we could say Notre Dame's getting just as much attention, and we don't know anything about what this Notre Dame team is going to be like this fall either, right? Am I wrong to think
it's hard?
that?
I mean, Marcus Freeman's in his first year as a head coach. So, no, I would not put them in the top 5. Now, could they surprise? Did Brian Kelly leave a good culture there? Are they better than Texas A&M? Yeah. But, I mean, and they've done more. But until you see this new coaching staff coach a game, to me, it's hard to put them in the top 5, okay? It just really is. And to me, I mean, maybe Texas A&M will finally put it all together again. 2 years ago, they got lucky and to me, and only lost 1 game. Of course, it was by 30 to Alabama, who dominated their ass like they usually always do, because last year was a fluke, in my opinion, that A&M even won the game. But I'm just saying that I don't, based on a lot of preseason rankings, Scott, are on the body of work from a year ago and what you got returning.
Right.
So
right.
I don't get the fact
that Texas A&M
is getting being told, like, Klatt's got to make in the college football playoff. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's stupidity.
Well, because you bring up a point there. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas A&M, Notre Dame. Clemson, it would be sitting there at 5, 6, 7, 8, at 9. And Clemson did not have a great year last year by Clemson standards or, Dabo's standards because they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they had a
down year. And so we have Texas A&M higher than Clemson, who Clemson has accomplished more in the past 5 years, 6 years than what Texas A&M
I wouldn't have either
done.
one of them in the top 5.
Even in the top, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not having Clemson. I'm not having Texas A&M.
So Clemson is right where they should be, outside that
top 5.
not.
I understand Ohio State because of what they got back on offense.
Yes, I understand
Hopefully
Georgia.
they'll be able to tackle because, Ryan Day changed defensive coordinators, even though he's made them soft as butter. And Jim Harbaugh, khaki pants, ran the ball straight up his rear end and whipped him in the Ohio State-Michigan game. I even understand Michigan to a degree because they had a lot of success last year. They actually made the college football playoff. So, I don't understand. The hype with Texas A&M has got to be the recruiting class. They think all these 5 stars are going to come in there and make this huge impact. Maybe they will, but I don't quite buy it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't the University of Miami play Texas A&M?
Yes, they do.
I would not be surprised, even in year 1, if Mario Cristobal and his boys beat the Aggies. And boy, am I going to be a huge Miami Hurricane fan. And it's a program that really I detest as well because even back in the day, I mean, it's still – you're never going to be a Miami fan because the way they acted and the way and how satisfying it was to watch Alabama whack them in 1993 in the 1992 National Championship game, Alabama becoming national champions, Mario Cristobal playing on that team. But I've always liked Mario, and I hope his Hurricanes beat the hell out of Texas A&M. I will not be rooting for Texas A&M to make the SEC look good. I will be rooting for Texas A&M to go 0-12 and Dirt Neck to be fired and be, as somebody joked with me the other day that he would probably be, I think it was our great listener, Zane Laney, saying he hit me up on Facebook Messenger saying he thinks that Dirt Neck will end up being part of the Nick Saban rehab clinic. I certainly hope not. I hope he's a college football analyst for Amazon or somewhere else like that where I don't have to watch him and not be on the sidelines because he's a joke.
All right, let's get that final break in. When we come back, we do have some college football headlines to get to, some good stuff, I promise. And one headline that they won't be making when they're joining the SEC officially. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
DQ presents. Picture this. You stand before the awe-inspiring new signature stack burger menu at DQ and your mouth wonders, where have you been all my life? That's 5 taste bud tempting cheeseburgers with 100% real seasoned beef. You peek at the loaded A1 stack burger with 2 premium sauces. Then the flamethrower stack burger with tongue-tingling jalapeno bacon. Then you realize moments like these are exactly why we have the DQ signature stack burger menu. DQ. Happy tastes good. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood
of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Good morning. We're wrapping things up this morning with one accident working. Oakwood and Blue Spring, that one came in as an injury type, so it's going to take a few extra minutes. Had one in Decatur at Point Mallard and Country Club that should be just about wrapped up. May actually be gone already. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And I don't think this will come as a surprise. What will come as a surprise is them actually tweeting this out. The Texas-Alabama game is officially sold out in Austin, Texas.
No surprise.
No surprise there.
Take your sunscreen and your
yeah,
water.
Because it's going to be darn tootin' hottin'.
I
mean, it's going to be hot.
Darn tootin' hottin'.
I just made up a yep, darn tootin' hottin'.
There you go.
Meant to say it's going to be hot. Didn't quite get the entire vocabulary out properly there, but that's all right. But what's surprising, though, is when Texas joins the SEC, they better get used to not having to send out tweets all the time to let him know that games are officially sold out, because that is usually what happens anyway. So not a shock there to say that the Alabama-Texas game is sold out.
Not at all.
The other news is Army-Navy football news.
Yes.
The Army-Navy game has announced their sites for the games through 2027. And for the first time in the historic rivalry In 2023, the game will be played in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. It's going to be played in the Boston area in 2023 in conjunction with the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party.
Wow. There you go.
In 2024, the Army-Navy game will move to FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
In 2025, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore will host the Army-Navy game. In 2026, it moves to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
And I'm sure that'll be frigid.
And then in 2027, it moves back to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. So those are
And we've been the long-time, several-year home of Army football here at 97.7 The Zone.
Other cities that did bid for the game included Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, and Orlando. The most common site has been Philadelphia, with 90 of the 123 meetings taking place, including the upcoming 2022 game. New York State has hosted the game 15 times. Maryland has hosted it 10 times. New Jersey 6, and Illinois and California have hosted it once. In 2020, when it looked like COVID-19 would shut down the season, Army-Navy still planned to play each other, even if it was only the college football game. That fall it happened, and it was played at West Point. That was the first time the rivalry took place on the campuses since 1943. So, and by the way, CBS has the Army-Navy game through 2028.
Oh, yeah. They've been a long-time home of the Army-Navy game. And wanted to give a shout-out to UNA as well. Got a chance to go over there yesterday, see their facilities over there. Tony Pujol, who's been a guest on the show multiple times, Scott, basketball coach there. They hosted their team camp. Great job. A lot of great competition over there. Montgomery Bell Academy, got a chance to see them. Outstanding team. Got a chance to see the Haleyville Lions, who upset the Huntsville Crimson Panthers. Came back from a big-time deficit in the fourth quarter to win. And remember, we had Coach Dylan Burleson on the show last year. They made a Final Four run. First time ever. Got to Birmingham. They've got high expectations going into this year. Bryant James, sophomore, one of the best guards. His brother Drake as well, really good player. So they've got some really nice pieces there with the Haleyville Lions. They've got a shot to get back to the Final Four. So I saw some outstanding basketball over there yesterday. Drew Powell's Thompson Warriors as well. So it's been nice to see some different venues. It was my first time. You and I have been in Flowers Hall to see. The football offices and the football, and we've seen the football facilities. It was my first time seeing the basketball facilities up close, so appreciate UNA's hospitality, and we wished Coach Pujol and that staff. We're really excited about Jakari Lane from Lee. I thought the best player in Huntsville last year. He and Butta Johnson, the top two, but really thought that Jakari was the best player. I got a chance to talk to Jakari. He was helping with the camp yesterday. He's really excited. He's already enrolled down there, and he's going into his freshman year and won a back-to-back state titles for Greg Brown and the Lee Generals. But I think they stole him. Willie Watson, great lead recruiter and assistant for Tony Pujol, and looking forward to Jakari Lane having a great career for the Lions.
Other high school basketball news, congratulations to Jake Moran, who has now taken over as the head basketball coach of East Limestone.
Yes.
So he was at Tanner, and now he's moving over to East Limestone High School.
Replacing Fred Steger, who had been over there for a few years. But, Jake had some success at Grissom as well. I was an assistant there and a head coach. So getting a chance near, his home base is really the Tanner area in Athens too. And he's going to take over that East Limestone program. Good luck to him. A great opportunity and a good dude who's been on our show multiple times. And good luck to him at the helm of the Indians.
All right, that's going to do it for our 2 hours of fun. By the way, on this day in 1993, Michael Jordan scores half of his team's points, scoring 55 in a Game 4 NBA Finals win over the Phoenix Suns. Bulls went on to win that series as well.
Yes, they certainly did over Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley. Michael Jordan, a true champion,
Yep.
much better than LeBron James.
Tonight, the Warriors can win an NBA title with a win over the Celtics. That's why we bring that up. Back at it tomorrow. Talking Ball live from Bill Penny Toyota tomorrow morning.